My name is Sarah Calloway, and the night Ryan Hale laughed at my car in front of 50 people, I said nothing. I just picked up my keys, smiled quietly, and drove home in that old, dented Honda that had carried me through 6 years of silence. He didn't know what was parked inside that silence. Nobody did. Let me go back. James and I were together for 4 years. We met in college during our second year. He was charming, easy to talk to, the kind of man who made a room feel lighter just by walking into it. I was working 2 jobs, finishing my degree at night, sending money home to my mother who had recently been diagnosed with early-stage Parkinson's. I was not always present the way he needed. I understood that, even when it hurt. When he ended things, he was gentle about it, said he needed someone less distracted, someone more available. Someone who didn't carry the weight of the whole world on her shoulders. I didn't argue. I didn't cry in front of him. I packed the last of my things into that old Honda and drove away without looking back. 8 months later, I heard he was seeing someone. A year after that, they were engaged. Her name was Claire. She came from money. She had time. She was everything I hadn't been able to be back then. I wished them well. Genuinely. And then I went back to work. Those years after James were the quietest of my life. I had always been good with numbers, not in a showy way, in a patient, methodical way. The kind of skill that doesn't get noticed at dinner parties but builds empires slowly, like water moving through stone. After graduation, I stayed at the logistics firm where I had been working part-time. I learned every corner of that business: supply chains, vendor negotiations, warehouse operations, client systems. I asked questions nobody else thought to ask. I worked until my eyes burned, and then I worked a little more. My mother's care was my number. Everything I saved, everything I built, every late night and skipped weekend was measured against that one number. I started consulting on the side, then a small software contract, then a larger one. Together with a colleague named Priya, I built a procurement tool we had been quietly developing for 2 years in the evenings after work. It started small. Then a regional company used it. Then 5 more called. Then their competitors. I still drove the Honda. Not because I had to. Because I had learned that the moment you start spending to feel important, you start needing people to notice. And I had stopped needing that a long time ago. The reunion was a college alumni dinner. 5 years after graduation. Priya told me to go. "You need one evening that isn't a spreadsheet," she said. So I went. I arrived alone, parked the Honda between 2 newer cars, and walked inside. James was there. He looked well, settled. Ryan stood beside him, Claire's brother, introduced to me once years ago at a graduation party. I had barely registered him then. He had clearly registered me even less. He was loud in the easy way of men who have never had to work quietly. Senior acquisitions manager at a commercial real estate firm. He made sure everyone at the table knew this by the second course. When James introduced us, Ryan looked at me the way some people look at furniture. Present but unremarkable. "Sara, right?" he said. "James mentioned you. You do something in tech?" "Software and property," I said. He nodded like I had said something forgettable and turned back to his conversation. Later that evening, walking out to the parking lot, someone asked which car was mine. I pointed to the Honda. Ryan laughed. Casually. Comfortably. The way someone laughs when something confirms exactly what they already believed. "That thing still runs?" he said. A few people smiled. James looked at the ground. I looked at Ryan and said, "It gets me where I need to go." Then I drove home. I did not think about Ryan Hale for the next 14 months. I thought about my mother, who was responding well to her new treatment. About a major enterprise contract Priya and I had just signed. About the next phase of the platform we had been building. And I thought about the commercial property portfolio I had been quietly assembling through a holding company I set up 3 years earlier. One building at a time. One careful decision at a time. No announcements. No celebrations. Just work. One property had taken nearly 2 years to close. A mid-rise office building in the commercial district. Solid structure. Strong tenant base. Long-term leases already in place. I signed the final papers on a Wednesday afternoon. That evening, my attorney sent over the full tenant list. I was reading through it with a cup of tea when I stopped. One of the companies listed on the 4th floor was a commercial real estate firm, the same firm where Ryan Hale worked as senior acquisitions manager. I read the name twice, set down my cup, sat very still. Then I exhaled slowly and kept reading. I did not contact him. I did not arrange anything. I did not say a word to anyone except Priya, who went very quiet on the phone for a moment and then said, "Sara, you didn't plan this, did you?" I laughed. "I didn't." Another pause. "Okay," she said. "What do you want to do?" "Nothing," I said. Standard process, same terms as every other tenant. She was quiet again. Then, "You are the most terrifyingly calm person I have ever met." 3 weeks later, Ryan's office manager contacted our property management team regarding the lease renewal. Routine. I was not involved directly, but ownership documents are public record, and in commercial real estate, people look those things up. Priya called me the afternoon after the renewal meeting. "He called," she said simply. I said nothing. "He asked if you were the same Sara Calloway from Westfield College. He sounded very different from how I imagined him." "Send him the standard renewal terms," I said. "Fair, professional, no exceptions." Priya laughed softly. "That's it? That's it." I saw Ryan once more, about 5 months later, at an industry event. He came across the room toward me, hand already extended, smile already prepared. "Sara," he said, "I genuinely had no idea. I mean that." I shook his hand. "No reason you would have," I said simply. He laughed awkwardly, began a half-formed sentence about the reunion, the parking lot, a joke that was also trying to be an apology. I let him finish. Then I said, "Ryan, the renewal went through smoothly. Your team has been easy to work with. I hope it stays that way." He nodded, slightly deflated. We shook hands again and I walked to the other side of the room. I still drive the Honda sometimes, not always, but on ordinary days when I want to remember something important, I take it out. I want to remember the woman who drove home in silence while someone laughed in a parking lot. That woman worked without applause. She stayed quiet when quiet was the right answer. She kept her head down and built something real while nobody was watching. She is not someone I have left behind. She is the reason I am standing here. James and I have no contact. I carry no bitterness toward him. He made his choices. I made mine. Life moved forward for both of us. Ryan still works in that building. He pays rent on time. His team is professional. There are no issues. And across the city, my mother is doing well. She has never once asked me what kind of car I drive. She only ever asked if I was sleeping enough, if I was eating, if I was okay. That is the kind of thing that matters. The rest is just noise. If this story has taught me anything, it is this. The people who dismiss you when you are quiet are not your judges. They are simply people who have confused visibility with value. You do not need to correct them in the moment. You do not need to announce yourself or prove anything to anyone. Just build. Stay steady. Protect what matters most. And one ordinary Wednesday, the documents will arrive and you will sit quietly with your tea and realize that everything you worked for has come together. Not with applause, not with a dramatic moment, just with a name on a page. And that is enough. That has always been enough.